The large meeting hall on Nexus Prime was filled with noise. 17 different alien species sat around tables, talking in their own languages. Some made clicking sounds, others hummed, and a few spoke in ways that sounded like singing. The universal translators worked hard to change all these sounds into words everyone could understand. Ambassador Elena Vasquez sat at a small table marked Human Territory. She was the only human in the room. Around her, much bigger tables held representatives from powerful alien empires. The Korathi had scales that changed color when they talked. The Zephyrians looked like tall birds with 4 arms. The Thrakari were covered in thick armor that looked like it was part of their bodies. Elena looked tired. She had been coming to these meetings for 3 months. Every day, she asked the same thing. Every day, she got the same answer. No. The problem was simple but terrible. A disease was killing humans on the outer colonies. It was not a normal disease. It was something left behind by an alien race that died out long ago. The disease ate everything: plants, animals, even the ground itself. Elena had pictures on her datapad. Colony ships going dark one by one. Cities that once held millions of people now empty. The disease was spreading faster than humans could run from it. The Zephyrians had a cure. They told everyone about it during the first meeting Elena attended. They had faced this same disease hundreds of years ago and beat it. But they wanted something in return for their help. "The price is fair," the Zephyrian medical leader had said. Her voice sounded like wind chimes. "We will give you the cure. In exchange, we want the rights to mine metals from 5 of your star systems." Elena had explained that those systems had billions of people living on them. The Zephyrians had just looked at her with their big, dark eyes. "Then move them," they said. The Thrakari offered help too. Their soldiers could protect human worlds from the disease. All they wanted was for humans to build weapons for them. 40% of everything humans made had to go to the Thrakari military. "We are being generous," the Thrakari general had growled. His voice sounded like rocks grinding together. "Most species give us 60% for our protection." Even the Luminari, who everyone said were peaceful and wise, had excuses. They talked about proper channels and correct procedures. The disease was spreading, but the paperwork would take months to finish. "These things must be done the right way," the Luminari Council member had said. He glowed softly as he spoke. "We cannot rush important decisions." Elena watched the news feeds on her pad while the aliens talked about trade routes and territory disputes. Another colony ship had stopped responding. 2 million people. Gone. Just like that. The Korathi trade minister was speaking now. His gill slits opened and closed as he talked about established protocols and why humans needed to understand their place in the galactic order. "Humans are new to space travel," he said. His scales shifted to a purple color that Elena had learned meant he thought he was being clever. "You cannot expect to receive the same considerations as species who have been spacefaring for thousands of years." Elena stood up. Her chair scraped against the crystal floor, making a sharp sound that cut through all the alien chatter. The room fell silent. Hundreds of alien eyes turned to look at her. "Ambassador Vasquez," the council speaker said. His translator made his words sound flat and emotionless. "The floor has not been given to the human representative." "We withdraw our request for assistance," Elena said. Her voice carried clearly through the quiet room. "Humanity will handle this ourselves." The room stayed silent for a moment. Then the aliens started talking all at once. Some made sounds that the translators could not handle. Others laughed in ways that sounded like machinery breaking. "With respect, human," the Korathi minister said, his scales now bright orange with amusement. "Your species has barely learned to travel faster than light. This plague has destroyed civilizations far more advanced than yours. The hegemony of worlds fell to this disease. The First Republic crumbled, trying to fight it. What makes you think primitive humans can succeed where they failed? Elena picked up her data pad and put it in her bag. She looked around the room at all the alien faces. Some looked amused. Others looked concerned. A few looked like they felt sorry for her. "Fine," she said, her voice cold as space between stars. "We'll do it ourselves." As she walked toward the exit, the Zephyrian medical director called after her. "You cannot simply create a cure from nothing. The biochemistry alone requires equipment your species does not possess. The genetic sequencing needed would take your computers centuries to complete." Elena stopped at the doorway. She did not turn around. "Watch us. Watch. 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 Watch." The Thrakari general stood up. His armor clanked as he moved. "Human, you are making a mistake. Your pride will be the death of your species. When your colonies fall and your people beg for help, remember that we offered our protection." Elena turned around one last time. She looked at each alien representative, remembering their faces. "When we solve this problem without your help," she said, "remember that we asked nicely first." She walked out of the meeting hall. Behind her, the aliens started talking again. Their voices rose in debate and argument. Elena did not look back. She had work to do. Outside the building, Elena's aide waited by their transport ship. "Ma'am," he said, "are you sure about this? The odds?" "The odds don't matter anymore," Elena said. "Send a message to Earth. Tell them we're done asking for help. Tell them it's time to show these aliens what humans can do when they stop playing by someone else's rules." As their ship lifted off from Nexus Prime, Elena looked down at the council building. She wondered if the aliens inside understood what they had just done. They had made a mistake. A big one. They had told humans no. Dr. Sarah Chen had never worked under pressure like this before. The research ship, Determination, floated in space near Earth's moon. But it looked nothing like it had 3 weeks ago. What started as a normal science vessel was now covered with new parts, extra equipment, and things that definitely were not supposed to be there. Sarah stood in the main lab, looking at her team. They all looked terrible. Dark circles under their eyes, messy hair, clothes they had worn for days. But they were all smiling. Dr. Chen called Dr. James Park from across the room. He was holding a test tube filled with blue liquid. "We got it. The synthetic cure is stable. We can make as much as we need. For the 40, 40, for the 40. Sarah walked over to look at the test results on his computer screen. The numbers made her heart beat faster. How is this possible? The Zephyrians said we would need their bioforges. They said human technology was not advanced enough. Park grinned and pointed to the equipment around them. "We built our own bioforge. See that thing over there? It used to be the ship's coffee maker. We turned it into a centrifuge. Those gaming computers the crew brought? They are running biological simulations that should need supercomputers." Dr. Lisa Rodriguez looked up from another workstation. "We broke about 6 different safety rules that would make the council faint," she said. "But it works. The cure is ready." Sarah stared at the test tube. Inside that blue liquid was the answer to humanity's biggest problem. This should have taken years of research. Maybe decades. How did we do it so fast? Because we did not have years, Rodriguez said. We had weeks, so we made it work. When you tell humans something is impossible, we do not form a committee to study why. We just start building. Park pointed to different parts of the lab. See those machines? We built them from spare parts, broken equipment, and things we found in storage. That genetic sequencer is made from 3 different broken machines welded together. The computer running our main calculations is actually 5 tablet computers working together. And it works as well as Zephyrian equipment? Sarah asked. Better. Rodriguez said proudly. Their bioforges take days to make a batch of cure. Ours makes the same amount in hours. Sarah felt something tight in her chest finally relax. They had done the impossible. Somehow, a team of human scientists with broken equipment and no sleep had solved a problem that destroyed entire civilizations. Dr. Chen, called Lieutenant Morrison from the communication station. We are getting reports from the colony ships. The cure is working. Infection rates are dropping fast. The colonies are calling it a miracle. Sarah sat down hard in her chair. We actually did it. Ma'am, Morrison continued, we are also getting messages from other parts of the galaxy. Lots of alien species want to know how we solved the plague problem so quickly. The Korathi Trade Minister sent 3 requests for information in the last hour. Sarah's expression changed. The relief in her chest was replaced by something harder. Anger. What did you tell them? Nothing yet, ma'am. What should I say? Sarah thought about all the meetings Elena had described. All the times aliens had said humans were too primitive to understand advanced science. All the times they had been told to wait, to be patient, to know their place. Tell them, Sarah said slowly, that we said fine. We'll do it ourselves. Park laughed. Ma'am, we are getting more requests for information. The Zephyrians want to know what equipment we used. They say our cure should not be possible with human technology. What else are they asking? Rodriguez checked her computer. The Thrakari are demanding to inspect our research. They say humans must have stolen alien technology. The Luminari are requesting a full report on our methods for their archives. Sarah stood up and looked around the lab. Human ingenuity was everywhere. Broken things made to work better than new ones. Simple solutions to complex problems. Equipment that should not exist, but somehow did. Send them all the same message, she said. Tell them that this is what happens when humans stop asking for permission and start solving problems. Dr. Park was reading another message. Ma'am, Earth Command is asking if we can solve other problems too. There is a list here of things the Council said were impossible or too expensive to fix. Sarah looked at the list. Navigation through dangerous space areas that aliens said could not be mapped. Ancient alien ruins that no one could translate. Energy problems that had been discussed in council meetings for years with no solutions. What do you think, team? Sarah asked. Ready for another impossible project? The tired scientists around her started smiling again. Rodriguez cracked her knuckles. Park started pulling up new research files. Morrison began sending messages to other human ships. Dr. Chen, Rodriguez said, I have been thinking about that navigation problem. The aliens say it is impossible because the space storms change too fast to map. But what if we do not try to map them? What if we just throw enough sensors at the problem until we find a pattern? Park nodded enthusiastically. And that translation problem? I bet we could solve it with machine learning. We just need enough data and computer power. The energy crisis too, Morrison added. The aliens keep arguing about who gets to build new power stations. But what if we just build our own? Solar collectors, fusion reactors, whatever works. Sarah felt a strange excitement building in her chest. For the first time since humans had reached the stars, they were not asking for permission. They were not waiting for approval. They were just going to fix things. Dr. Chen, Park said quietly, I think we just started something big. Sarah nodded. I think you are right. Send a message to all human colonies. All human ships. All human research stations. Tell them that if they see a problem that needs fixing, they should not wait for alien approval. Tell them to just fix it. What if the aliens do not like it? Sarah looked at the blue cure in the test tube. She thought about the colonies that were already recovering. She thought about the 2 million people who would have died if humans had waited for alien permission. Then they should have helped when we asked nicely, she said. As the determination prepared to return to Earth, Sarah watched other human ships moving through space. Each one was carrying the cure to more colonies. Each one was carrying proof that humans could solve their own problems. The galaxy was about to learn something new about humanity. When humans said, "Fine, we'll do it ourselves," they meant it. Council Speaker Vorthak stared at the reports covering his desk. Each piece of paper made him more confused and worried. 3 months had passed since the humans walked out of the council chambers. 3 months since Ambassador Vasquez had said those dangerous words, "We'll do it ourselves." Vorthak had expected the humans to fail. Everyone had expected them to fail. The plague that was killing their colonies was ancient and terrible. Civilizations with thousands of years of experience had fallen to it. Primitive humans with their simple technology should have been destroyed within weeks. Instead, they had cured it in less than a month. But that was just the beginning. The reports on his desk told a story that made no sense. Humans were not just solving their own problems anymore. They were solving everyone's problems. Problems that had existed for centuries. Problems that the Council had given up on. The first report was about the Maelstrom Nebula. For over 1,000 years, the nebula had blocked the fastest route between the core worlds and the outer rim. The space storms inside changed so quickly that no ship could navigate through safely. The best alien scientists had tried to map it. They had failed every time. Then, humans had shown up with a cargo ship called Why Not. They had flown straight into the nebula. Instead of trying to map the storms, they had filled their ship with so many sensors that it looked like a metal porcupine. They had just kept flying until they found a way through. Now there was a human shipping company running regular routes through the Maelstrom. They had cut travel time across the galaxy in half. Their method, according to the ship's captain, was throw enough sensors at it until physics gives up. The second report was about the Forerunner ruins on Kepler 442b. The ruins were older than any known civilization. Teams of the galaxy's best archaeologists had spent centuries trying to translate the ancient writing. They had learned almost nothing. A human graduate student named Jenny Martinez had cracked the language in 6 weeks. She had used something called machine learning and what she described as stubborn determination. The ancient Forerunner archives were now being translated by human computers. Already, they had learned more about galactic history than in the previous 1,000 years. The third report made Vorthak's head hurt. The energy crisis in the Rim territories had been a council problem for 5 years. The Committee for Energy Distribution met every week to discuss solutions. The Subcommittee for Resource Allocation argued about who should pay for new power stations. The Advisory Board for Colonial Development debated which technology to use. Humans had solved it in 2 months. They had not asked for permission. They had not formed committees. They had just built solar collectors out of old spaceship parts and aggressive optimization, whatever that meant. Now, the Rim territories had more power than they knew what to do with. "How are they doing this?" demanded Trade Minister Keth Moore. His scales were bright purple with frustration. "They are practically children in galactic terms. Their technology is centuries behind ours." Vorthak studied another report. This one was about human communication networks. The humans had been asking for permission to use the Council's quantum relay system for 2 years. The Committee for Communication Access had been studying their request. They were supposed to give an answer sometime next decade. Instead, humans had built their own network. It was faster than the Council's system. It was also free to use for any species that wanted to connect to it. "Speaker Vorthak," interrupted Medical Director Sithara from the doorway. Her feathers were ruffled with agitation. "We need to discuss the human medical situation." "What about it?" Vorthak asked. "They cured their plague problem." "That is exactly the problem," Sithara said. "They are now offering free medical treatment to any species that wants it. Half of our medical clients are switching to human doctors. They say human medicine is faster and more effective than ours." Defense Coordinator Thrackmore entered the office. His heavy armor made the floor shake. "The humans are also building warships," he growled. Ships that should not exist. Their technology should not be advanced enough for the weapons we are detecting. Vorthok felt a headache coming on. How advanced? Advanced enough that my military advisors are recommending we do not test them, Thrakmor admitted. The human ship designs make no sense. They ignore established engineering principles. But our computer models suggest they would be very effective in combat. A new voice came from the hallway. Maybe that is because established principles are not as good as you thought. Ambassador Elena Vasquez stood in the doorway. But she was not alone. Behind her were representatives from dozens of species. Vorthok recognized some of them. They were all former clients of the Council's major powers. Ambassador Vasquez, Vorthok said carefully. What is the meaning of this? You wanted to know how we are solving impossible problems so quickly, Elena said. She walked into the office like she owned it. The answer is simple. We do not have committees to tell us why something cannot be done. We just do it. Minister Kethmore's scales turned angry red. You cannot just ignore established procedures. There are reasons these systems exist. Yes, Elena agreed. To keep powerful species in power and everyone else dependent on them. She gestured to the aliens behind her. These representatives are here to announce that their species are withdrawing from council oversight. They have decided they can solve their own problems too. Vorthok looked at the group. There were Altarians, whose mineral-rich worlds had been controlled by Korathi trade agreements. There were Centauri colonists, whose defense contracts had enriched Thrakari military companies. There were even some outer rim settlements that had been waiting years for council aid that never came. You cannot simply leave the council. Medical Director Sith Ara protested. Who will provide medical care? Who will maintain trade routes? Who will keep peace between species? Elena smiled. It was not a nice smile. We will. Humans, and anyone else who wants to actually solve problems instead of talking about them. This is chaos, Thrakmor rumbled. Without council oversight, there will be wars, conflicts, disasters. Maybe, Elena said. Or maybe there will be progress. Innovation. Solutions to problems you have been ignoring for centuries. She turned to leave, but stopped at the doorway. By the way, we solved 3 more impossible problems this week. Ancient star maps that no one could read. Translated. Asteroid mining in the death fields. Accomplished. That bioweapon cleanup in the Vega system that you said would take decades. Finished yesterday. Vorthok stared at her. Elena's smile got wider. We said, fine. We'll do it ourselves. Amazing what you can accomplish when you stop asking for permission and start getting to work. After she left, the council chamber fell silent. Vorthok looked at his advisors. They all looked as confused as he felt. Speaker, Minister Kethmore said quietly, I think we may have made a mistake. Vorthok nodded slowly. I think we may have made a very big mistake indeed. Outside the council building, more ships were arriving. Ships carrying species who had heard about human solutions to their problems. Species who were tired of waiting for council committees to help them. The galaxy was changing, and the council was being left behind. Captain Marcus Webb stood on the bridge of the Audacity and looked at the alien fleet in front of him. 20 council warships hung in space, their weapons powered, but not yet aimed. Behind him, his crew worked quietly at their stations. Nobody seemed worried, even though they were outnumbered 20-1. Marcus was not worried either. The Audacity was humanity's first dreadnought, built in the orbital shipyards above Earth. It looked different from any other ship in space. Where alien ships were smooth and elegant, the Audacity was covered with weapons, sensors, and equipment that stuck out at odd angles. It looked like someone had strapped guns to a space station, but Marcus knew what his ship could do. The aliens were about to find out. Sir, reported Lieutenant Johnson from the tactical station, the Thrakari fleet commander is demanding we submit to inspection. He says our ship violates 43 different treaties about weapons development. Marcus checked his engineering displays. The Audacity was armed with weapons that, according to galactic law, should not exist. Railguns that could fire metal slugs at nearly the speed of light. Shield generators that turned incoming energy attacks into power for their own systems. Fusion torpedoes that could crack a small moon. Problem is, Johnson, Marcus told his bridge crew, we never signed those treaties. The communication system crackled to life. Human vessel. This is Fleet Commander Throckmore of the Galactic Council Defense Force. You will submit to immediate inspection or be classified as a hostile force. Marcus pressed the reply button. Negative. Fleet Commander. We are in human space, flying a human ship, built with human technology. You have no authority here. There was silence for a moment. Then Throckmore's voice came back, sounding angry. Your species was granted provisional council membership under the Technology Limitation Accords. You cannot possess weapons of this magnitude. Marcus looked around his bridge. His crew was mostly young people, many of them born after humanity had reached the stars. They had grown up hearing about council rules and alien superiority. Now they were sitting on a ship that proved everything the aliens had said was wrong. Here's the thing, Fleet Commander, Marcus said calmly. Those accords were offered when you thought we needed your help. Since we have established we do not need your help, we do not need your restrictions either. Loan, and defend. In the Stamling, you cannot simply withdraw from galactic law. Throckmore's voice was getting louder. These treaties maintain peace and stability. Marcus cut the channel and turned to his crew. Any thoughts on that, people? Sir, said Ensign Davis from the navigation station. The peace and stability they are talking about mostly involved telling everyone else what they could and could not do. Lieutenant Johnson nodded. The treaties basically said that only council species could have advanced weapons. Everyone else had to buy protection from them, and now they are worried because humans built better weapons on their own, added Chief Engineer Martinez over the intercom from the engine room. Without asking permission, Marcus smiled. His crew understood the situation perfectly. Johnson, what are we getting from the other human colonies? Johnson checked her communications board. Sir, every major human settlement just declared independence from council oversight. They are calling it the Fine, We'll Do It Ourselves Declaration. The vote was unanimous. How unanimous? Sir, 97% of humans voted yes. The other 3% were not available for voting because they were too busy building things. Marcus laughed. That sounded right. Even in the middle of a political crisis, humans were solving problems. The communication system activated again. This time, it was not just Fleet Commander Throckmore. The voices of all the major council powers came through the speakers. Human ship, came the voice of Council Speaker Vorthok. You must understand that your actions are destabilizing the galactic order. There are procedures for technology development. There are reasons for weapons limitations. Yes, came the voice of Medical Director Sithara. Without proper oversight, advanced weapons could fall into the wrong hands. Trade Minister Kethmore's voice joined them. The economic implications alone could destroy interstellar commerce. Who will regulate trade if council authority is ignored? Marcus listened to all of them talking over each other. They sounded scared. Attention, council leaders, Marcus said when they finally stopped talking. Let me explain something to you. For decades, you have told other species that they needed your protection, your technology, your guidance. You made them dependent on you. He paused, looking at the fleet of alien ships on his view screen. But you never helped anyone. You just made them pay for the privilege of staying weak. That is not true, Throckmore protested. The Council has maintained peace for centuries. By making sure no one else could fight back, Marcus replied. That is not peace. That is control. Lieutenant Johnson looked up from her station. Sir, we are getting reports from across human space. The Centauri colonies just finished building their own defense platforms. The Mars shipyards launched 3 new exploration vessels. The outer settlements are requesting permission to start their own terraforming projects. Permission from who? Marcus asked with a grin. From themselves, sir. They are not asking the Council anymore. Marcus nodded. That was exactly what he wanted to hear. Humans were not just declaring independence. They were acting like they were already independent. Fleet Commander Throckmore, Marcus said into the communicator. You have 2 choices. You can accept that humanity is no longer under Council authority, or you can try to force us back under your control. Are you threatening the Council Defense Force? Throckmore demanded. Marcus looked at his weapons display. The Audacity had enough firepower to take on the entire alien fleet. But that was not the point. The point was that humans should not have to fight for the right to be free. I am offering you a choice, Marcus said. You can work with independent human territories as equals, or you can try to treat us like children who need supervision. But you cannot force us to follow rules we never agreed to. The communication channel went quiet. Marcus could imagine the alien commanders talking among themselves, trying to figure out what to do. They had probably never dealt with a species that just said no to Council authority. Sir, Johnson said quietly, long-range sensors are detecting ships approaching from 17 different star systems. They are not Council ships. Who are they? Johnson's voice was excited. Species that heard about human independence, sir. They want to talk about forming their own independent governments. Marcus felt something like pride swell in his chest. Humans had not just freed themselves. They had shown other species that freedom was possible. Fleet Commander Throckmore, Marcus said into the communicator one last time. The galaxy is changing. You can change with it, or you can be left behind. Your choice. He cut the communication and turned to his crew. Set course for the Alpha Centauri system. We have a new government to help establish. As the Audacity moved away from the Council fleet, none of the alien ships tried to stop them. They just watched as humanity sailed toward a future they would build for themselves. 1 year had passed since what historians now called the diplomatic catastrophe. Ambassador Elena Vasquez stood in what used to be the Galactic Council chambers on Nexus Prime. The room looked very different now. The old arrangement was gone. Before, 17 powerful species had sat at large tables while everyone else stood in the back. Now, dozens of independent governments had equal seats. The room buzzed with actual work being done, instead of endless debates about why work could not be done. Elena smiled as she watched delegates from across the galaxy discuss real solutions to real problems. Humans sat next to former Council client species, all working together. The Altarians were sharing mineral extraction techniques with the Centauri colonies. The Rim territory settlements were teaching terraforming methods to species who had never been allowed to develop their own worlds. The hyperspace network is complete, announced Dr. Sarah Chen, who now served as humanities science coordinator. Any ship can travel between any 2 systems in the galaxy in less than a week. The old travel times of months or years are finished. Elena remembered when such a statement would have been impossible. The Council had controlled all faster-than-light travel routes. They had charged enormous fees and restricted access based on political considerations. Now, human engineering had made the entire galaxy accessible to everyone. The Korathi are asking if they can license the new hyperspace technology, added Trade Director Martinez. Apparently their traditional trade routes are becoming obsolete. Elena's smile got bigger. The Korathi had been among the most arrogant during humanity's original request for help. Their trade minister had talked about established protocols and knowing one's place in the galactic order. Now they were begging for access to human innovations. What did you tell them? Elena asked. The same thing we tell everyone. Martinez replied. The technology is available to any species willing to contribute to its maintenance and improvement. No exclusive deals. No political strings attached. You want to benefit from human engineering? Help make it better. It was a simple policy. But it had changed everything. Instead of hoarding technology to maintain power, humans shared it freely. The only requirement was that others contribute their own knowledge and resources to the common pool. The result was faster innovation than the galaxy had ever seen. What about the council itself? Elena asked. Are they still meeting? Martinez checked his notes. They still exist, but mostly for ceremonial purposes now. Hard to maintain control over galactic governance when half your former subjects have decided they can govern themselves just fine. Elena looked out the huge windows at the space around Nexus Prime. Once, only Council-approved ships had been allowed in this system. Now, vessels from hundreds of independent worlds moved freely through space. Human cargo ships worked alongside reformed Zephyrian medical vessels, both carrying supplies to worlds that needed them. No fees, no political conditions. Just help, where help was needed. A young aide approached Elena's group. Ma'am, we have the latest reports from the exploration fleets. What did they find? 3 new habitable worlds in the Perseus Arm, ma'am. 2 ancient ruins that contain undamaged technology archives. And the exploration ship, Why Not Try, has made contact with a previously unknown species called the Harmony Collective. Elena took the report. The exploration program was another human innovation that had surprised the galaxy. Instead of carefully planned, committee-approved missions that took years to organize, humans just built ships and sent them out to see what was there. The Why Not Try was typical, a converted cargo vessel with extra fuel tanks and too many sensors, crewed by volunteers who wanted to see what was beyond the known stars. How did the Harmony Collective react to first contact? Elena asked. The aide grinned. They asked if humans could help them solve a water purification problem they have been working on for decades. Captain Rodriguez told them we would be happy to take a look at it. Elena laughed. Even in first contact situations, humans immediately started trying to fix things. It had become their reputation across the galaxy. Other species made contact to establish trade relationships or territorial boundaries. Humans made contact to ask if anyone needed help with anything. Dr. Chen approached with another report. Elena, we are getting requests for assistance from some unexpected sources, such as the Thrakari military has asked if we can help improve their shield technology. The Zephyrian Medical Consortium wants to collaborate on disease research. Even the Luminari have requested access to our educational networks. Elena studied the list. These were the same species that had told humans they were too primitive to understand advanced science. Now, they were asking for human help with their own advanced science. Any regrets about how we handled the original crisis? Dr. Chen asked. Elena thought about that question. She remembered the meeting room where aliens had dismissed human requests for help. She remembered watching colony ships go dark while bureaucrats debated procedures. She remembered the 2 million people who had died before humanity decided to solve its own problems. Just one regret, she said finally. We should have said fine. We'll do it ourselves a lot sooner. In the distance, a massive construction project was visible against the stars. Human engineers working with alien partners were building the galaxy's first deep space exploration platform. It would be able to reach beyond the known galaxy to find new worlds and new civilizations. The project was funded by dozens of independent species, designed by human and alien scientists working together, and built by anyone who wanted to contribute. It was everything the old council system had never been. Open, collaborative, and focused on actually accomplishing things instead of maintaining power structures. Elena, Dr. Chen said quietly. Elena watched the construction crews working on the exploration platform. Humans and aliens side by side, solving problems together. She thought about all the species that had declared independence after seeing what humans had accomplished. She thought about the technologies being shared freely, the diseases being cured, the worlds being explored. "I think," Elena said, "we showed the galaxy what it could become when people stop asking for permission and start helping each other." A communication alert chimed on Martinez's tablet. He read it and started laughing. "What is it?" Elena asked. "Message from the Outer Territories. They just finished their terraforming project on Kepler 438b. The planet is ready for colonization 6 months ahead of schedule." "How did they do it so fast?" Martinez grinned. "According to the project director, they stopped following the recommended procedures and just focused on making it work. When the automated systems were too slow, they did the work by hand. When the standard equipment was not available, they built their own." Elena nodded. That sounded exactly right. It was the human approach to everything now. If something needed to be done, find a way to do it. If the established method was too slow, invent a faster one. If the proper authorities would not help, become your own authority. "You know what the best part is, Doctor?" Chen said, looking at the busy space traffic outside. "We did not just free ourselves from council control. We showed everyone else that freedom was possible too." Elena agreed. When humans had said, "Fine, we'll do it ourselves," they had not meant, "We'll do it alone." They had meant, "We'll show everyone how it should be done." The galaxy was different now. More chaotic, perhaps. Certainly more competitive. But also more innovative, more hopeful, and infinitely more free. And it had all started with one simple phrase: "Fine, we'll do it ourselves." Elena smiled as she watched the future being built outside the window. Humans had kept their promise. They had done it themselves, and they had invited everyone else to join them.